Assalamu alaikum. I am Luqman 𝐬𝐲𝐬 and this is Shaykhi Academy. In today's episode, inshallah, we will discuss the different shapes of the connected letters of the three shape mates, which are Jim, Ha, and Kha. So, stay tuned.
Shaykhi Academy.
This is just to remind you that we are explaining using Al-Minhaj book, the official book of Shaykhi Academy. The letters we have today, we can call them shape mates, Jim, Ha, and Kha. So this is, as we can see, letter Jim, and let's know its three forms: initial, middle, and final. This is initial form of letter Jim, and this is middle form of letter Jim, and this is the final form of the letter Jim. And it's so clear that this form is the isolated form. In the beginning of the word, we will convert it to this shape. It will be like flat, like this, not like the isolated form, a line and semicircle with dot inside. But when we want to write it at the beginning of the word, it will be flat like this. Okay, this is the initial form. Okay, the middle form will be the same bit. Okay, so draw a line before it to be like this. Okay, a line before it, it will be in the middle form. As for the final form, it will be the same of the isolated form with a line before it. So letter Jim, the isolated form, and a line before it. Okay, and this line is before it, not after it, because we said that Arabic is read from right to left, not from left to right. Okay, so this is letter Jim, and letter Ha is a shape mate of letter Jim. So this is let's take an example first. The word Jamr. Okay, this is an example of the initial form. Okay, the next one is this word. This is the middle form of letter Jim, and lastly the last word of letter Jim, which is this form, as this example says, the word 𝐤𝐤𝐬𝐬. Okay, so the next letter we have is letter Ha. And Ha is the shape mate of letter Jim, but the difference between them is Jim has dot inside, but Ha doesn't. This is just the difference between both of them. So let's take an example of letter Ha. So the shape of the initial form is like this, Ha, like Jim, because they are shape mates, but where there is no dot below it. And this is Ha in the middle form, and this is Ha in the final form. An example, this word, as we can see, this is the shape in the beginning or in the middle form, and the next word Bahr, as you can see, the shape of al-Ha in the middle form, and finally the final form, the word Rumh, as you can see, al-Ha in the final form. The same we said of letter Jim, but without dot, whether below it or inside, whether depending on the form itself, what is initial, middle, and final. The letter Kha is also the shape mate of letter Jim and letter Ha. So the difference is just the dot is above. Okay, the dot is above, but letter Jim, the dot is inside. Letter Ha doesn't have any dots. So letter Kha, you will see the initial form the same of al-Jim and al-Ha, but without the dot of al-Jim, and there is a dot above al-Kha, as you can see here. And this is the middle form, and this is the final form. Let's take an example of the Khair. This is, as you can see, the shape of letter Kha in the beginning of the word, and Nakhl, as you can see, in the middle of the word, And came to the end of this episode, and in the next episodes inshallah we will continue the remaining letters. So سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. If you have any, now we came to the end of this episode. So if you want to follow up the next episodes, consider subscribing. Also, if you want a qualified Quran tutor, whether for yourself or your kids, we are providing online Quran classes. Don't forget to check out our app. See you inshallah in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum.
Shaykhi Academy. Learn and enjoy.